All right, there we go. So just to review, we had the first equation. We were collecting like terms on different sides by moving this one to the right, combining these together. And then the next one we did was we put the like terms together on the same side first, and then we moved the one over so that we could put them together. This third one, we are going to have a distributive property first. So put the little rainbows in here. Circle this -5 though, because if you just do the rainbow on the 5, you're going to miss that negative. That negative, you've got to distribute that negative as well. So you're going to get 3n minus 6, because 3 times -2 is -6. You've still got this 2 that came down. -5 times n will be -5n. And what's -5 times +5? -25, not +25, -25. So that's what's going to go in there. That's the distributive property. We do that first. Now, is there anything I can combine that's on the same side? Not different side, same side. There's one thing I can combine. Which side is it on, the left or the right? Right side. We got the 2 and the -25 are both numbers. So that means I'm going to leave the 3n minus 6. So I'm not going to change that. What do I get when I put a 2 and a -25 together? 2 minus 25. 27 or 23 or -27 or -23? -23 is right, because you've got to subtract those and there's more negatives. So -23 and then bring down your -5n. Now we've got exactly what we had over here, and what we did is added 5m to both sides to move the m over. So I'm going to add 5n to both sides. That's going to cancel those out. And 3n and 5n makes 8n minus 6. I haven't changed that yet. Just leave the 6. And then you get -23. And then we are going to add the 6 now to get that over to the other side. So 8n, the 6's will cancel. 23 and a 6, and we got to subtract them because they're different. So if I take 23 and subtract 6 from it, I think that's 17, right? So -17 is right. And then we're going to divide both sides by 8. So n equals -17 over 8. That's not going to be reduced. So that one's just going to leave it as a fraction, 17/8. Okay, so example 3. So now there's some for you to try. So let's get, I'll leave it a second so you can finish that one. Okay, so on the bottom left corner, you've got 6 of them. Try those 6. I'll give you 5-10 minutes. So here we've got A, C, and E done so far. A was 1. Letter B we said was 2. So make sure you show the work to get x equals 2. Make sure it comes out. Letter D we said was 9. E and F are they're done. E's done, and F you're going to finish. What did we get for letter F? Do we need to do this one together? We got 12 plus 20y minus 4 equals 3 plus 2y minus 4. Now we've got some things that are on the same side of the equal sign, so we need to put those together first. So your 12 minus 4 is 8 plus 20y. And then 3 and -4 give us a -1 plus 2y. So the 12 minus the 4 gave me the 8. The 20y was brought down. 3 minus 4 gave me the -1, and the 2y is brought down. Let's subtract the 2y on both sides so that the 2y's can move over to the left. So you'll have 18y. Bring down your 8. And then you're going to subtract your 8 on both sides. So 18y. And we get negative 9. Two negatives, we put them together, we're going to keep it negative. Add them up. And then divide by 18. You should get what for your answer? If it was 18 over 9, it would be a 2. But it's 9 over 18. What's that going to reduce to? 1/2. It's going to be negative 1/2, right? 9/18, you can divide them both by 9 and get 1/2. So negative 1/2 is what you should get for f. So that page should be filled in on your paper there. All right, that's 3.5 in a nutshell. So those are done. Let's go to 3.6. 3.6 with fractions or decimals. So there's just some boxes to fill in. Use a common denominator to clear any fraction. Use a common denominator. You want to find a number on the bottom that they all could go into. Multiply that common denominator by all, I don't know why I put all twice. Cross out this all. By all terms in the equation. All terms, not just the fractions. If you only multiply by the fractions, then it won't work. You got to multiply it by all the terms. Got to stay equal on both sides, so you got to multiply it by everything. To clear an equation, let's cross out this S right here. To clear an equation of decimals. So if you've got a decimal in your equation and you want to get rid of the decimals, just multiply all the terms by the appropriate power of 10. Meaning if you want to move all the decimals over one place, just multiply it by 10. If you want to move it over two places, multiply it by 100. Because that's got 2 zeros, it'll move it two places. Alright, so here's the, I'm just going to move that out of the way for me. You guys can write it in the box. What would be a common denominator for 3, 2, and 6? 6. They would all go into 6. So what I'm going to do is multiply every term by 6. Even the 2x I got to multiply by 6. If I want them to stay equal. How many times does 3 go into 6? 2 times. So you cross cancel the 3, make it a 1. You cross cancel the 6 and make it a 2. Now 2 times 2, that's going to give me 4x. Fraction is now gone. Don't want fractions, and now it's gone. That's what we want. We want them to leave. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So that cancels out to a 1. That cancels to a 3. You get a 3 times a 1 times an x, and you get a 3x. No more fractions. Those two you could actually combine for 7x. 6 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 5 is going to give me a 5. And 6 times 2x is going to be a 12x. So 5 plus 12x is going to come down. What should we do next? How can I solve this one? I need to move the 12x over here. Put it with the 7x. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 12x. What that did, it takes it off the right side, it moves it over here to the left side. 7x minus 12x, negative 5x equals 5, and just divide by negative 5. You're going to get x is negative 1. You get x is negative 1. It's a lot easier from this point down where there's no fraction. We don't want fractions if at all possible. I forgot the steps. That's what those are there for. Clear all fractions by multiplying all terms by 6. That's what we did first. Cross cancel if possible, which is what we did. Combine any like terms, which we did, 3x and 4x. And then solve by moving the like terms to the same side and isolating the x.
Good morning.
Where are your eyes? Right hand side.
You know, my brother, his college got beat by TSU, or they would advance to Omaha in College World Series.
TCU, I know.
Sorry, TCU.
Yeah, I watched that.
Oh my God, the closer. He's like, he couldn't believe it because that guy didn't blow a save at all yet. Too bad, huh?
Yeah, too bad he's going to stay at Pepperdine, right?
Yeah, he's.
All right, we got these? Not yet? Almost? Moving on. Okay, example 2 has decimals in it. So if you notice, this one needs to get moved 2 places. So what I would do is I would multiply everything by 100. Now, actually, in the calculator age that we live in, using decimals isn't that bad, right? You can just type it into your calculator, and probably not a big deal. So if you don't want to multiply it by 100, you don't have to if you want to just use your calculators on it. But multiplying by 100 moves this decimal over. So you get 1630 minus, and you move this over 2, it would be 720y. Negative, you move this over 2, and you get negative 818, and now the decimals are gone. So with calculators, the decimal's probably not that big of a deal. Fractions are not good because those you can't always do in your calculator very well. Decimals are not too bad in the calculator, but if you want to get rid of them, find the one that needs to get moved over the far list, multiply it by the power of 10 that you need. Here I'm going to subtract 1630 on both sides. So I get negative 720y equals 8,42448. We're going to divide by negative 720. And this is actually negative 2448. These are both the same sign, so we got to keep it negative. So we're actually going to get a positive answer. And we probably need our calculators anyways. 2448 divided by 720. 3.4 is what you're going to get. Like I said, calculator age, you probably didn't even need to move the decimal over. You could have probably just kept it. So what I wrote under here was multiply all the terms by 100. That moved the decimal 2 places. Subtract the 1630 and divide by 720. Again, I would tell you that if you don't want to get rid of the decimals and you just want to plug them into the calculator that you have on your phone, it's not a big deal. As a matter of fact, when we get to this bottom one here, that's what we'll do. We'll just, we won't even worry about the steps. We'll just use our calculators or our phone. It should be easy. What should we multiply try this one, or fraction one by? What would be a good common denominator. Yeah, 8 is the good common denominator because 8 goes into 8, 4 goes into 8, 2 goes into 8. So yeah, you're going to want to multiply everything by 8. And so 8 goes into 8 once. So you're going to leave 7x. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 3 is going to give you your 6. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So 4 times 1 will be 4x. And then 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. So our first step there was to multiply all the terms by 8. So that's what I did. I multiplied everything by 8, and I got rid of all the fractions. Now they're gone. I mean, fractions are tough to deal with. If you got to get common denominators, you know, when you add fractions, cross cancel when you're dividing or multiplying, multiply by a reciprocal if you're dividing fractions. It just makes it difficult when you have fractions. So it's a lot better if you can multiply by one common denominator and eliminate all of them. Next thing we'd want to do is subtract your 4x. Because that'll give you a 3x plus 6. 4x's will cancel and you'll get equals 12. So move the like terms to the same side. That means we also need to subtract a 6 to get that to the same side. So 3x equals 6. (3x equals 6), and then the last step is to isolate the variable, get x by itself, get x equals 2. So we're still solving equations, it's just we're throwing little different things in here and there. In this case, we're trying to get rid of fractions first. Moving the things around over to the other side. Like I said, on this one, we'll just use our calculator. So we've got 4.2x plus 1.25. We need to subtract 1.25. So you get your calculator out and you would do 26.45 minus 1.25. You get 25.20 or 25.2 equals 4.2x. And then divide by 4.2. So take that 25.2 that you already have there and divide it by 4.2. And you get x equals 6. You don't have to get rid of decimals now that we have, all of us have calculators on our phones and stuff. So I would just suggest solving it whatever way is easier for you. Make sure you have the right answer. The next one, it says page 140, you could just X that box out. Okay, so just put a big X through the 140 page, you're not doing that page. So just put an X through this box right here. X it out so you know that that's what you're not working on. Your stuff is going to be on this page right here. So you don't need that box. Okay, we good to move? Okay, so like I said, this box right here, you're just going to put a big X through it. You're not doing that page. Okay, moving to 3.7. Formula. The 3.7 is on the bottom of the back side of the first page. We can solve for each variable in a formula by using the properties of equality. So each variable in a formula by using the properties of equality, means that I can get any letter by itself that I want to. If I see a formula D equals RT and D is by itself, and let's say I wanted R by itself, I could get R by itself. All I have to do is move the T to the other side. So we can isolate any variable in any formula that we want to. So under here it says distance equals rate times time. That's what this formula stands for. Your distance, like if you want to know if you're traveling a certain amount up north or something, and you drive for 5 hours at 50 miles an hour, then you're going to be going 250 miles. That's rate times time. Your rate times your time is going to always equal how far you go, your distance. So they want you to solve for t, though. They want you to get t by itself. So right now, d's by itself. So how do I move the r to the other side? Add the r, subtract the r, divide the r, multiply the r. You got to divide. They're multiplying, right? They're doing r times t. So you got to do the opposite of that. So you're going to divide r on both sides. What that does is cancels this out to a 1. And it just makes a 1t, which is what you want. You just want t. So you divided r on both sides. And so you're going to end up with d over r is going to equal t. Time equals distance divided by rate. So if you know how far you've gone, and you know how fast you went, just take the distance divided by the rate, and that'll tell you how long it took you to get there. Your time is going to be your distance divided by your rate. So you can isolate any variable you want to in any formula that you want. All right, we good? Okay, moving on. Okay, formula for average. Formula for average. Do you know how to find your grade point average? Okay. You add up all your classes and divide by 6 because you have 6 classes, right? So you add up all the grades, like A's are 4, B's are 3, C's are 2. So you add up all the numbers and divide it by 6 classes. That'll get you your grade point average. So the formula for average of 3 numbers, if we only had 3 numbers, would be this. You would add your A plus your B plus your C, the 3 numbers together, and you would divide it by 3. So the average of these 3 numbers would be to add the 3 together and then divide it by 3. They want you to solve for little a, not big A. Big A is already by itself. You need to try to isolate this A right here. Circle that little a, and let's see if we can get that one by itself. What do you think we would need to do? We got to move the 3 over, the B over, and the A and the C over, so that just A is by itself. Any ideas what you think we could do first? I don't like fractions. So what do you think? Multiply by 3 first. Multiply both sides by 3 to eliminate the fraction. Okay, so let's do that. Let's multiply both sides by 3. What that's going to do is cross cancel those 3's. So on the left side, I've got 3 times the capital A. So 3 times the capital A is on the right side, left side, and on the right side, I just have the A, B, and C. What letter am I looking to get by itself? Little a. So what do I need to move to the other side? The B and the C. So what I'm going to do is subtract B and C on both sides. So subtract the B, that's canceling out the B's. Subtract the C, that's canceling out the C's. So 3 times big A minus little b minus little c. That would equal our little a right there. If you take 3, multiply it by your average, subtract b, subtract c, that would get you that first test score, or first number. Okay, these are just a couple of practice ones. So we've got what we call here a circumference formula. When you get to geometry, if you've been in geometry, you'll see this formula. Circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. So they want you to get r by itself. So what we're going to do here is we're going to divide both sides by 2 and by pi. We're going to divide both sides by a 2, because that'll cross out these 2's. We're going to divide both sides by pi, because it'll cross out the pi's. All you'll have is an r equals, and you'll just leave it as c over 2 pi. That would be letter A. Done. That fast. This formula right here is for the perimeter of a rectangle. 2 lengths plus 2 widths added together, you get the perimeter, you'll go all the way around a rectangle. They want you to get little l by itself. First thing you're going to want to do is subtract the 2w. c minus 2w equals 2l. Because the 2w's canceled out on the right side, I moved it to the left. And then we want L by itself, so just divide by 2. You get L equals P minus 2W divided by 2. This formula is for the average of 4 numbers. And they want you to get little c by itself. So it's almost the same as our last one, where we got rid of we've got the 3 numbers, the average of 3 numbers, and we got little a by itself. This one, they're just trying to get little c by itself, so you're going to multiply both sides by the denominator of 4. So those will cancel out. You'll get 4a, 4 times capital A, equals a plus b plus c plus d. And this time we want c by itself. So you're going to subtract a, subtract b, and subtract d on both sides. So 4 capital A minus little b minus little d is going to equal c. That would be letter C by itself. Everybody done with the first 2 so I can move it up? So you can isolate any letter you want to in a formula. Just because it's got a set formula that we use, like C equals 2 pi r, doesn't mean that C has to be by itself. You get the r by itself, or whatever. You could move formulas around anytime you want to. Okay, moving on. Okay, the formula for computing the earned run average of a pitcher who has given up R runs in I innings is that. That is the formula for a pitcher, earned run average. 9 times the number of runs divided by the number of innings. That's the earned run average. They want us to get the I by itself. They want us to solve for I. So the first thing I would do is get rid of a fraction. I would multiply both sides by the I because I don't want the I on the bottom. I can't get it by itself if it's on the bottom. So what that's going to do is it's going to cross cancel it from the right side and it's going to bring it to the left. So the first thing we did was multiplied both sides by I. That was our first step. That got rid of the fraction. That's all that did for it. Because now this fraction's gone, you're going to see an A times an I and a 9 times an R. Now there's no fraction. What do I divide by if I want I to be by itself? If I just want the I to be by itself, I need to divide by what's next to it, which is the A. So divide by A on both sides. Divide both sides by A, and you'll get I by itself. I is the same as 9R divided by A. If you take the earned run average, if you take 9 times the number of runs they've given up divided by their earned run average, that'll tell you how many innings they pitched. So you can put a formula any way you want it to go. It works in football. The formula for a football player's rushing average, R, with a total of Y yards and 10 carries. So if rushing average is going to be the yards divided by the carries. Take how many yards you got for the year, you take how many carries you got for the year, you divide it, you get his rushing average. We want to get N by itself. We want to get the number of carries by itself. So we want to get this N off the bottom. We are going to first multiply both sides by N because we want to get rid of the fraction. So N times R equals Y, and then just divide by R. So N equals Y divided by R. So you can get any letter you want to by itself. Any letter you want. Good to move? All right, moving on. Okay, absolute value equations. They go pretty fast. I mean, the absolute value means distance away from 0. If the absolute value is a 6, that means x could have been 6 or negative 6. Because if you look at a number line, you could go this side and have 6 places away from 0, and you can go that side and have 6 places away from 0. Both of those numbers are a distance of 6 away from 0. So that's what absolute value is asking. It's always a positive number because it's a distance. It's how far away from 0 you are. This is 6 away from 0. This is 6 away from 0. Distance is always positive. So absolute value is always going to be positive. But negative 6 also has the same distance away from 0 as positive 6 does. In this, so here's the actual thing you need to do. Get the absolute value by itself. So subtract 2 first. Absolute value of x equals 10. Once the absolute value is by itself, now you can find your two answers. 10 would have a distance of 10 away from 0, and so would negative 10. So there would be your two answers, 10 and negative 10. Distance is away from 0. Here, if you added 4 to both sides, you get 3 times absolute value of b equals 6. Then divide by 3 because absolute value is not by itself yet. So you're going to get absolute value of b equals 2. Now you can put the other equal sign in the negative 2. The equal signs have to go next to the absolute value sign. Can't put an equal sign next to a 3 over here. That's not going to work. So 2 and negative 2. So here you've got equals negative 17. So you got two answers there, 17 and negative 17. Here you're going to add 5 to both sides. And so you're going to get 6 and negative 6 are your two answers. Once you get absolute value by itself, now you can put the equals on the other side and the negative on the other side and get your two answers. And then letter C, subtracting 1, you get 2. Absolute value of x equals 14. Can't put the equal sign yet because there's a 2 there. You got to get rid of that 2 first. So absolute value of x equals 7, and then you could put your negative 7. Now you can get your two answers. 7, negative 7. That's with just an x's inside of the absolute value line. Show me where that is. Do that if you can. All right, so that's section 3/8. 310, there's a few things that we do need on 310 as well. Make sure we guys got this okay. It's always on the video if you need it. All right, the ratio of a number to 100 is called percent. We'll just fill in the blanks pretty quick. Ratio of a number to 100 is called percent. The word percent means per hundred because there's 100 cents in a dollar. So percent means per 100. To solve problems, solve is that word. To solve problems involving percent, we can first change it to a decimal. So to solve problems with percent, first change it to a decimal. So fill in the words that are missing there. 35% would be 0.35. You always move it over two places. So it's going to be 2 zeros in 100, so you move it over two places. 5% would be 0.05. 0.05, you got to move it two places. It's not 0.5 because that's 50%. 0.5 is 50. 1.38 is 138%. You move it over two places, you get 138%. 0.8%, if you move it over two places, would be 0.008. And you might want to show that one on your paper here, where you took this and you moved it over two places to get the decimal. 0.008 is how you get that decimal. 0.8% is a really small amount. So what do you think 48% is going to be? What is 0.48 or 48%? 0.48? About 3%. 0.03. 145%. That's more than 100, huh? Yeah. So it's got to be 1.45 because it's more than one whole. 100% is one whole. And then what about 0.5%? 0.005. And move it over two places. 0.005. Okay, the last stuff. Real quick on the back. These, again, just fill in fast. These don't take long at all. Some problems require that we change a fraction to a percent. Sometimes you got to take a fraction and make it into a percent. Easiest way to do this is to change the fraction to a decimal first. So if you want to take a fraction and change it to a percent, make the fraction into a decimal. Then all you got to do is move it over two places. 2/3 means 2 divided by 3, because that's what that line in a fraction means, division. 2 divided by 3 is 2/3. Divide those, you get 0.66 with a bar on it, and which is approximately 0.667, and it's rounded to the nearest thousandth. That's the thousandth place. Then what you can now do is move the decimal 2 places, and you get your percent, 66.7%. Move the decimal point 2 places to the right to change from a decimal to a percent. So we took the fraction, made it a decimal, took the decimal, made it a percent. 5/4 would be 1.25 as a decimal. You move it over 2 places, it would be 125%. Move it 2 places to the right. 3/8 as a decimal would be 0.375. If you move it over 2 places, 37.5%. Taking a fraction, making it a decimal, then a decimal, making it a percent. That's how you take a fraction and go all the way to a percent. You got to go through the decimal first, then make it a percent. Okay, last. Oh. These are pretty fast ones. Okay, we can solve problems involving percent by using proportion or by translating to an equation and solving. We've been learning all about equations. So we could translate these problems to an equation and we could solve them. If you've got a problem that says 15.5% of 60 is what number, you're going to translate it to a math problem, which is 15.5%, if you move it over 2 places, is 0.155. Of means times. That was one of your times words on your paper yesterday. 60, if you bring it down, it's already a number. Is your equal sign. What number represents your n or your x or whatever letter you want to use? If you multiply these two on your calculator, you'll get your answer of 9.3. So that's taking this problem, making it an equation, and then solving the equation. So that's an n. It could be an x. You could use whatever letter you want to use. 24 is what percent of 120? So 24 equals. 24 comes down and is becomes equals. 24 is what percent is your x or your n or whatever letter you want to use. Of is your times and 120 is your 120. This time you need to divide by 120 on both sides. So you got 24 over 120 became 0.2, which is 20%. Because it says what percent. So your answer is 0.2, but you want to change it to a percent, which is 20%. You move it over 2 places. %25 is 0.25. Of is your time. What number is your x? Is equals, and then 15. And then divide by the 0.25 on both sides. And then you can see 15 divided by 0.25 comes out to be 60. So 25% of 60 would be 15. So in this case, x equals 60. X came out to be 60. And the last 4 are for us to try. Just to see if we can apply what we just got here. And be able to solve those 4 problems. Okay, so what percent, that's my x, of 40 is 15? Let's do it this way. What percent is x of 40 is 15? That's how you want to write it. X times 40 equals 15. And then if we want to solve that, we're going to divide both sides by 40. And get x equals 15 divided by 40. That's where you get your calculator out. And you would do 15 divided by 40. 0.375. So what percent would that be, 0.375? 37.5. You'd move it over 2 places. 37.5% would be your answer to number 1 there, or letter K. 3 is means 3 equals. 16% would be 0.16 of is times, and what number is x? I need to divide by 0.16 to get x by itself. So 3 divided by 0.16, get 18.75. 18.75. .5%, so 0.075 of 80 is x. What number? That one you're just going to multiply 0.075 times 80. And you get x equals 6. If you can translate it to a simple equation, then you'll be able to solve it. What number x is 12.5% would be 0.125 of 40. So times 40. So 0.125 times 40, and you get x equals 5. That's it. So the only thing you have left, which is you got an hour, is just do page 168, 169 on another sheet of paper. Always make sure you've got the right heading on there, guys. I had to add a few of your headings on there because you didn't have it correct. So make sure they're right, the headings on there correct. Whichever page you decide to put the heading on, that'll be go on the top of your, when you staple it. Anything you didn't finish yesterday, make sure you get to me today. And if you were not here yesterday, you need to come up and get the notes from me. Now there's a video on the website that gives you all the If my laptop would show it, I would let you, but this laptop doesn't allow the YouTube video and it won't show it. So you can do it at home and bring it tomorrow. Oh, where's the iPad right now? Jacob, is the iPad somewhere? Here's the iPad. Okay, there was others that were not here yesterday that you just came today. You need to get yesterday's work, so come on up and grab it from me. We're not here yesterday. There's a video on the website for yesterday's work that will help you fill all those in.
I looked
Okay.
at this.
Okay. Staple it, put your name on it. Put it on the file from yesterday or today? I mean, you gotta staple it up for it. Is that the only page you guys have?
No, I
Oh, yeah, put everything together. Yeah, try to get all of it done together and staple it. Anybody else not here yesterday? Viviana, I think maybe you were not here yesterday? On the website, there's a video that will help you fill all these in.
Oops.